Guys, welcome back to the Physique Academy podcast. This is episode 20 now. We had Sean Anderson on last week for episode 19. Today, for the first time ever on the Physique Academy podcast, I've got two guests, coach and client. We have Zayne, Coach Zayne, and then we've got Gabriel Quinn, who's also an ambassador all the way from California, who's traveled all the way over. A little bit jet lagged he'll be today, I assume. So he's got his coffee for his caffeine fix. Gabriel is very much like Zayne, into CrossFit, bit of like a CrossFit athlete. I would say that's about right. Sounds about right. You are a business owner. Mm-hmm. What's the business you run?
I do clinical auditing and consulting for home health agencies in Los Angeles area, and also do have a day job. And I also go to grad school.
So he's a busy guy. He's a busy guy.
Very busy guy.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
But today we're going to dive into basically what has led up to where Gabriel is at now in his fitness journey. Where is it you're at now? You've done phase one. You're in phase two. How long have you been in phase? Done phase two. In phase two. So phase three that you're in at the program.
It seems like it. Honestly, who counts these days, right? For me, coming into the program, this is an infinity game for me. So whatever phase I am at, which I think I'm on phase three.
Yeah,
to put it on
technically, yeah.
But we go ups and downs and cutting and bulking and everything else. It just feels like a natural.
As you're aware, he's got a very, very busy lifestyle. So it's adjusting around that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you actually been on the program then if you're in phase three, brother?
This is going to be the second year.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I cut very fast.
Yeah, we got done in roughly 16 weeks, I think it was.
Yeah, it was
Just
very fast.
Straight into it. Like, no messing. We just went straight in.
No messing.
In and out, efficient as hell.
Yeah, it was 135 pounds down to 121 in 16 weeks. That's pretty strict. But the harder part was gaining weight. I feel that for some people, they find that as a blessing. But for me, that's a curse, really, because especially when you're trying to bulk, it's hard for me to bulk. And even though like I shoved so much food already, and it's like, nah, I just want to throw up. And
It was. I think the reverse, I think, is always one of the harder parts for a lot of clients as well. I think even just sometimes like mentally going from being, because like Gabe was so on it in dieting. Like I remember the Open, the year that when we were working together, and I remember a video that you reshared on your story on Instagram of one of your friends who'd caught you sat on the floor eating your meal prep. Like that's how on it was. And like the Open's such a big event in CrossFit boxes. Like everyone's down on a Friday night doing the workout. Most gyms will have like some beers and some pizzas and that sort of stuff. And yeah, Gabe sat there, corner of the gym, eating his meal prep, staying on track. So that's quick.
Dedication, brother.
that is dedication. And I think Zayne would also understand this because he competes a lot too, right? So in competitions, after every workout, it feels like you just have to eat. And that's how it felt like during the Open. So I was just sitting down on the floor with my Tupperware full of rice, and I think that was turkey meat, and just
Loving life.
yeah, that was probably just watching people while I munch on 600 calorie food, and that was great.
So how much did you drop? If you say your phase one was quick, how much was it? Did you say you dropped?
135 to 121, so quick maths, 14 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 14.
14 pounds, 16 weeks. And then as we've gone through sort of like a building process, it has sort of been a bit of a build, and then there's been like a vacation come up that we want to look a little bit better for. So it's like pull back a little bit, just tighten up a little bit, then start a build again. And then, yeah, we've just gone back into a bit of you got really busy again. So output wasn't as high, so we pulled food back a little bit. And then now we're in a position where we're building that back up now, but you're actually heavier than when you first started and looks damn sight better.
Yeah. If we've got Jake, we'll put a photo of Gabriel's transformation on the screen somewhere around here. But no, yeah, like in a phase two, especially, like people say, how much weight should I actually be gaining back? I would say at minimum like 70% to 100%, if not maybe a little bit more. You want to be getting back to the majority of what you started out at, but in a completely different position, body composition wise. But let's take it all the way back to when you first started, bro. What made you want to join? If you're in your second year now, your first call was with The big man over here.
Yes. So at that time, I remember I was in the state of depression, and I don't think that a lot of men even talk about it. And so maybe it was also a blessing in disguise that, for one, I was just on the couch, I was scrolling, and I do remember coming into all of these photos and reels of just transformations. And it was after the pandemic, I believe. And so, yeah, it was after the pandemic, and I was depressed, and I got into a breakup, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just change everything. So I took a step, and I decided that after Thanksgiving, I'm going to sign up. And it was actually Harry who messaged me on Instagram, and then I did the form, and then Zayne did the first call. And I think everything since then was just history, because I know that the process now is different. But at least for me, that's what worked out, because Zayne was just, it was an easy translation of the words, because he does CrossFit. I was doing CrossFit for 4 years at that time.
I was just going to ask, were you doing the sort of stuff that you're doing now beforehand, but you were?
Yeah, I was doing CrossFit for 4 years at that time, but there's always a certain threshold, even let's say in economics, there's always a diminishing marginal return where I was plateauing. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, well, this is already 4 years. I couldn't get past into a certain threshold of lifts, or let's say gymnastics. So, and also I want to improve my my body composition. So that was one of the best investments in my life.
Zayne, was Gabriel quite open on your first chat? Were you quite open about where you were at mentally at that time?
Yeah, I'd say so, 100%. I think we talk about it quite a lot now, as we saw as a business go through the sort of coach and client pairing. It was probably one of the best ones that we've could have easily, to meeting him where he's at now, from a training perspective, but a mentality perspective, I think it just gelled very, very quickly. I knew exactly what he needed from me as a coach, but also as a friend as well, to sort of just mentally get him over that line. I think the biggest thing for Gabe, what I noticed, was the transition through phase one was so quick and efficient, because he just needed that mindset switch of just something for him. And I think then just being able to not only put that work in for him, but see that sort of pretty much instant results quite quickly as well. I think
that's buying it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's, I think CrossFit gets some stick. It doesn't as well. Everybody wants to look like a CrossFit athlete, but nobody wants to do CrossFit. And I think as well, having, from my perspective, for Gabe, having somebody who not only is involved in the sport, but has shown that you can develop a physique, you can do all that stuff alongside it, because I think everybody just looks at what they do on Instagram and you're not going to build a physique doing that.
Because it's just all conditioning.
Yeah, because let's be honest, we like
a
to
lot
post,
of it anyway.
Yeah, we like to post the fun stuff. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to see 5 sets of 5 bench press on Instagram. People want to see you doing the high skill gymnastics, the big lifts and stuff. So from that perspective, it was very much okay, look, you want to become a better athlete, but I also understand that you want to build your physique as well. This is how we're going to do it. If you trust me, it'll work. And luckily, trusted me, and it's worked.
And I think that's where the failure comes in, right? Because people feel that they want to reach a certain goal, but then all of a sudden the intentionality to get to that goal only lasts a certain time. So that's why people actually fail. But at that point when I signed up, I'm already doing it for myself, so might as well just, go through it, right? Yeah. And that was the pain that I decided to go through, a good type of pain. And in fact, because I was already suffering depression after my breakup, and so I decided to take that pain into fuel and then change that fuel into actual physical pain that gives me better results physically and mentally.
It is you're punishing yourself. That's sort of what I tend to do as well.
You have to argue with it.
That's kind of a little sadistic way of saying that, I kind of enjoyed that fact that I was pushing myself into a different limit, because unless I hit that benchmark and basically break the glass ceiling, then I can't get past those, right? So people just need to have that intentionality and to decide that, hey, I want to do this for myself, because if they don't have the why, they'll just fail.
What was your why?
My why was for me to wake up in the morning, realizing my fullest potential, and to disseminate the information that, one, mental health is public health, and two, that cancer is correlated with obesity, diabetes, and all of these comorbidities that a lot of people don't even talk about. So my grandparents, 3 of my grandparents, died from cancer. And people still don't realize the gravity of nutrition when it comes to cancer pathophysiology. So obesity is actually a subclinical inflammation that actually causes cancer too. But people usually relate cancer with heredity. So people might say, oh, it's just because of genetics or a gene linkage, right? But in reality, a lot of studies these days really connect cancer with nutrition. And it's about educating the public, educating people that, hey, you need to look into your diet. You need to look into your habits. So yeah, I think that is my solid why.
That was like more like quality of life, I suppose, like quality of your own health, and longevity that you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess people are also looking at diet and nutrition and physical fitness having a certain goal. But for me, this is an infinity game. I could go meet, let's say, I could squat 300 pounds, but then tomorrow I want that 300 pounds to be 350, 400, right? But that is the physical aspect. Now, thanks to Zayne, because I don't see it just physical aspect only that I'm fixing. Zayne helps me with depression if it even like there's an inch that kicks in, you know. He's a friend that I could talk to pretty much every day.
Is that like motivation for you to get to the gym, though, like the conversations that you have? Is it just like negative self-talk, do you think?
It's usually me telling him to go to sleep.
he was just saying before we started recording, he's a night owl. He's a night owl.
I'm waking up 6 a.m. and I know I'm going to have a message and I'll reply. And if I get a message, my next message is go to sleep.
Go to fucking sleep. Do you think if you would have been paired up with another coach that maybe like going back to that pairing, you know, do you think you would have either got the results that you've got or lasted as long as you have? Because obviously, you know, of what you and Zayne have in common, how important do you lads think that sort of pairing is at the beginning stages when you first start?
I'll let you answer that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So considering what I already know now, and because I know the coaches personally too, I feel that mental-wise, everybody would be my friend. But when it comes to translating fitness the way I foresee myself to be, I feel that Zayne was the perfect fit. And so I'm not going to change that.
Yeah, I agree. I think from a perspective, like, I think from, like, I think we can all as coaches see a lot of similar traits in ourselves with how much care we take in as clients. Like, and I think that's every client any of us will speak to, and when they've had a lot of success on the program, whether they've not, it's always, you know, we can see how much you care, we can see how much you're trying through the systems that we have, through how much, like, you know, somebody doesn't check in that week, it's not the aspect that we then just leave it off the table. It's like, look, is everything okay? Like, regardless of what's happening with the check-in, like, look, you've been a bit quiet this week, is everything okay? Like, I think we do take such a big duty of care for these guys. I think obviously what's probably helped us work together for so long as a coach and client pairing is that we can relate to a lot of stuff very, very similar. To say, you know, there's so much land and sea between us. And I've got this with quite a few of the guys that I work with. There's so much similarities that you start to see in some of your clients, and you can kind of understand that a little bit more. And there's been times that we've worked together and like Gabe's had like a lot of stuff going on, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to turn around and say it's going to be okay right now, or, you know, it's gonna be easy. Like, whatever's happened, like, yeah, it's going to be a bit shit, but it's not always going to be like that. And I think it's just having that somebody like that to turn around and say it to you, because I think a lot of us wouldn't really have friends who would say that. A lot of people are just there to sort of tell you what you want to hear. And I think with the way we develop relationships, and luckily we've developed a good relationship, that I feel like as a coach, I feel comfortable to say that as well. But yeah, from a training perspective as well, I know what what works for him, what doesn't work for him, how he responds to training, volume, timings, everything in that perspective. And I think that's why throughout the period that we've worked together, throughout the highs, the lows, the higher volume weeks, the lower volume weeks, has just come down to a better understanding and me just finding what works well, realistically.
If you don't have those pillars, like, you know, we're coaches first, that's like our priority. But if you've not got that empathetic and understanding, that second pillar of being a friend and seeing things simply just as coach, black and white, you know, there's no grey area in between. If someone is going through something, then you're going to struggle, especially in Physique Academy, because, like, say, that's something that George has always said, what he hires on is not just, you know, knowledge, like how to structure a training program. That's the easy part in it. It's the character of the actual person that is going to translate, you know, onto the client. And that's why, you know, like, a lot of guys will stay on the program and want to stay on the program, even technically when they don't need to be. I've had guys that, like, will keep paying each month, and they've gone through phase 1, they've gone through phase 2, they've done like a performance phase. I'm like, bro, you like, really, you don't need to be on the program anymore. They're like, nah, but I miss like our weekly catch-ups, and that's what I like miss the most and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but you don't need me anymore. But again, if you build that relationship with that individual, that's the way they're going to feel, because they're going to see you more as a mate than like a working acquaintance.
Yeah. Now, speaking about work, I just want to tie this in, right? If we talk about, let's say, in the workplace environment, people leave companies not because of pay or of benefits or anything as such, but people leave companies because of a terrible manager. And quite the same thing here, right? So if you have a very good leader, then all of the people around you would basically copy what you're doing, because you're practicing what you preach. And so because Zayne is practicing what he preaches, he balances physical and mental fitness, and then so am I.
Same with George as well, like, for us as coaches, for being a leader.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to touch on as well, which has probably helped with Gabriel probably staying on a bit longer as well, is because we've always had that bit of performance in there as well. Like, you've done 2 competitions. You did, like, I remember when you did your Spartan races.
A lot.
Yeah, you've done two CrossFit comps. You've done quite a few, well, a lot of events. There was like one weekend, like, you went through a phase where you'd injured your back. But it was like, okay, we've got a lot of stuff that we've got to work around here, which is quite ironic, because now we're on the flip side of the table. You've got a fully functioning back and I don't. Don't know if I mentioned it 7 weeks now.
I don't know.
But like, from that, so it was like, but then we've always worked around it. We've always found a way to still train around it, because he's wanted to, and I've not wanted him to just take it off. And then, it was like, okay, I'm going to do a Spartan race, because I still want to do something competitive. I still want to do something fun. And then you went and did like 3 that weekend, I think it was.
Yeah.
3 different Spartan races back to back. We've got a photo somewhere, I'll send you it. And he's literally
Put it on the screen.
Yeah, like 3 medals across, covered in mud. Like, it's such a sick picture.
Yes.
Like, the Viper's on. Like, it looks so good.
Sick,
and
bro.
That was after competing.
Where was that?
That was after competing, and that was earlier of last year.
Explain. I don't know what a Spartan race is, sorry. Can you explain?
So Spartan race is an obstacle course. It's
They're like Tough Mudder?
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, with less mud.
Yeah, that's the fun part in Tough Mudder.
Yeah. So earlier last year, I competed several CrossFit competitions, right? That includes the Open too.
Yeah.
And then, after winning a gold medal, I basically injured my back. And then for about 4 months, I just couldn't lift. I couldn't put my socks on. A lot of my activities of daily living have been compromised. And so, but I also agreed to sign up for a Spartan race in Colorado. And supposedly I was just going to do 10K, but then I was peer pressured to do a trifecta, which means to do the 5K, the 10K, and the 25K in one weekend. And so just imagine this, I could not lift a shit, but I completed that weekend. I remember being on that that was a 10K run on a Sunday. That's my second race for the entire weekend. And 3 miles in, I was just in so much pain. And I'm talking 9 out of 10 pain that I'm ready to just raise my hand and just someone just pick me up, An emergency call, basically. I'm waving the white flag. But then in my mind, I'm like, I already trained for this. I already had all of these CrossFit competitions in my bag. And so let me just suck it up and just think about my training. But the first thing I decided was like, let me look for someone who has ibuprofen in here.
Yeah.
I need someone who has an Advil. But thankfully, I was on one of the stops, and then I saw one lady. She was packing her purse or whatever, and then I saw pills. And I'm like, do you have ibuprofen in there? And then she said, yes. Could I just have 3? And then boom. And then I know I was still in pain, but I continued throughout the weekend. And for me, that was success. Success was not me getting into a very competitive time, but success for me was just lifting that big stone, that 100-pound stone with my very injured back. I got my medals though.
Damn. Warrior, mate. Absolute warrior.
I opened my phone on the Monday. I was like, how did it go? It was like, I did all 3. I was like, what?
Oh, mate, that's class.
Yeah.
Have you got any more events?
High Rocks, end of the year.
Yeah?
Yes. So unfortunately, CrossFitters are probably looking down at High Rocks, but I could tell you that High Rocks is a different beast. But probably because it's the running part, right? CrossFitters, whenever we see a 400-meter run in there, that's already too long for us.
Yeah.
But this one is a 10K. So, yeah.
A nice new challenge. Like we took a little bit of a backseat from CrossFit just for managing time a little bit more.
So has that changed in his training that you structure for Gabriel now?
Yeah, so we're still, and I think this is the thing with balancing and keeping a CrossFitter happy when High Rocks is a thing.
Yeah.
Because as much as we've got a little bit more running volume in, it's then still wanting to keep hold of a barbell. It's wanting to still keep an element of gymnastics in there. So it's not to toot my own horn. It just becomes down to clever programming, where you put which sessions.
The master programmer over here. No, but that was something that I struggled with, when I started doing a lot more running, was because I was going from training like 5-6 days a week, resistance training, to then he's still trying to get the same amount of volume in. I was training, like I was doing like a 5K plus run and then going to the gym later on that night, like every other day. And I was just like completely physically exhausted all the time. But then, if you're working towards something like that, you just have to pull one of the other edges back, don't you?
Yeah. Right. Because CrossFit is kind of tailored on lifting under fatigue. That's why we add, let's say, run, and then you lift the barbell afterwards, right? But this one is just straight running.
Very much.
And in my mind, and honestly, this is just me. Personally, I get bored running. Once I hit maybe a kilometer, maybe just 600 meters, I'm just bored. I'm just bored. And for someone who has a moderate ADHD, my brain just goes everywhere.
Yeah. I think for me though, it creates a bit of boredom, but it switches like my mind off a little bit as well. Though I think I have that more with resistance training. Don't get me wrong. I think if I get under like a heavy bench press, I'm not thinking about anything other than I'm getting this fucking weight up. Yeah. Like anything at home or anything like that. With running, I might start to a few things might start to creep in, but yeah.
I think it's meditative running at times. I'm very, very similar. And I think it's very I feel like with loads of different paths and traits you find so many similarities in people. Like I say this all the time. Like as coaches, we're so similar. As much as we're all so different, every time we're all together, it's literally like one big personality. It's not loads of, we're all so similar. And I think with the kind of been involved in a bit more functional fitness and like CrossFit between ourselves, you see that. And when Gabe's like, I get bored at 600 meters, I can completely relate to that because like when you're in a CrossFit like workout and you're doing like a quick arm wrap or steam on, you're constantly stimulated. Like you're going from one piece of equipment to another piece of equipment to, an erg to a gymnastics movement. And then that bit of rest you have, all you're doing is focusing on your breathing. So then you flip that to, right, I want you to run for an hour and just breathe. And your brain's like, no, I need to be stimulated. I found it difficult. Since been injured, I've been running a lot more, and it's only the last 2 weeks on my easy runs. What I've decided to do is not wear my earphones and just sort of take away any sort of crazy stimulation and just be present. Just be okay, just breathe and just try fully switch off and just take in the scenery that you're running around. And I think that meditative state, and I think that's why people find training and exercising so therapeutic because, you know, when you're in the gym, it's that time to yourself. You know, you switch off from everything that's your work, family, whatever it could be is completely left aside. You're the same with that. And I think it's the same when it comes around to running as well. You know, if you're 3-4 miles, 5-10 kilometers away from your house, you know, you've got no other way of getting back. You've just got to run. You know, whatever it is you're going back for is going to have to wait. And I think that's where that like meditative state of exercise comes into account as well.
It translates. That's why it translates well from CrossFit to high rocks, because high rocks just have that element of like, right, you're doing burpee broad jumps, you're doing lunges, you know, you're doing wall balls, finishing off. But I mean, for you, if like you get bored after 600 meters of running, like a kilometer might just be a little bit too long. That's the only.
You
problem.
actually pointed out a good segment there, because I was going to ask you guys, because I'm wondering, because I could work out without music, even both CrossFit and just run. Can you do you guys do that too?
I never used to be able to when I was younger. I'd say over the last 2 years, I've definitely got better at just keeping at peace with my own thoughts. Again, I think music for me used to be that sort of like external stimulation, like that extra little bit to switch off when I'm working out, whereas now I can just sort of focus on the task at hand and not really think too much about that. But it also depends on which, because I train at a few different gyms, it depends on the gym that I'm training at, because if I go to David Lloyd, I don't think they've got David Lloyd in the US, have they? No, it's like a chain in the UK. It's where I started out as working. But their gyms are just like libraries, so I have to take music in there, because if there's not even like a subtle sound in the background,
right?
For me, my motivation just plummets. Like I'm just like, I wish this workout would just bloody end. Or if I go to like NLG in Preston, which is called Next Level Gym, and they've got like proper bouncing music, then it's not like I need it there, but it's just something, you know, in the background.
I can run to no music. I can't train to no music, but my music taste is so varied, like depending on what kind of workout, what mood I'm in.
So is mine, bro. That's what I was saying about Luke. I could listen to Luke Combs
train
in the gym.
100%. Like I could have like
going.
I could have like country love music going, and I could be in the depths of a workout, zone 5, gasping for breath, and Honky Tonky Highways playing. But then at the same time, I'll then have like Linkin Park or something on and just something screaming at me. So,
bro,
and then it's
I'm exactly the same.
It'll go from Linkin Park to Pink Pony Club to something else, you know.
Let's go Chapel Run, right? But I guess you're going to be playing Luke Combs for maybe for a year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, until next July. For anyone that doesn't know, I've just done the last podcast. I could see Zayne in the background giving it fists because he's been waiting all day in the queue to get Luke Combs tickets.
Very happy, man.
Right. I mean, I don't know where that conversation just went with.
See, I told you I could go on tangents. My brain could go 250 miles per hour.
That Zoom calls, I'm like, I need to go. I've got a job. I've got some check-ins to do.
I've actually got work to do. Just sat here chatting waffle, mate. All right. Next, what do I want to? We've touched on that. I wanted to ask, because you're both into CrossFit. You know, both of you live in that. People, like you say, that place that people avoid, you know, of like severe discomfort, because CrossFit, like I say, conditioning, just non-stop every single day. Like, how do you manage your recovery? How do you manage your training volume, your nutrition and all that?
I'll let you answer first.
So, I need to turn that off.
It's all right.
Okay. So, my apologies.
It's okay, mate.
But so my recovery is like I do mobility classes, right? So on top of everything else, I have a certain coach who does mobility too, and just amazing. And then every after workout, Zayne also puts mobility work, which I do too from time to time, especially when I am not on time crunch. But that is one of the things that people actually underutilize, or I need to find a better word, that people do less is mobility. People kind of underestimate the power of mobility.
Don't see the benefit of it a lot.
Yeah, because for them, maybe it's like, it feels like a little bit yoga, there's no fun, you know, and especially in the CrossFit environment where people just want to go and just do the workout 100% of the time.
It needs to be hard.
Yeah, it needs to be hard. It needs to be in a Metcon format, you know. But Yeah, I think people need to stretch those muscles, and Epsom salt, man, Epsom salt.
Epsom salt.
What was the question?
You just switched off, weren't you?
No, I can't remember how you worded it. Is it just around recovery?
It was basically just saying like a lot of people avoid things like CrossFit just for like the severe discomfort of it constantly. But then my follow-up question to that was like, you know, how do you manage, you know, like the training intensity, the volume, the nutrition around it to make sure you're fueling right and also recovering right?
I think getting into it, you find similarities in a lot of people who get into it. They've done some sort of sport growing up. That's one thing I do find, and so people are used to having that little bit of discomfort. Anyone I've usually come across who gets involved in CrossFit, they've done, you know, some sort of sport in high school, college, university. They've been involved in that. Like I played, you know, semi-professional rugby growing up, so like having that sort of like high intensity, it was quite an easy translation. I get bored doing normal training, so that was a big thing to get in. It gives you something. The workout's always going to be something relatively different. I think going back to sort of like the high rock stuff, I think they go hand in hand really well. And as much as you see a lot of stuff on social media of like high rocks and CrossFit giving each other a lot of stick, I mean, high rocks is just all it is it's a long CrossFit workout. CrossFit's been around longer.
I was just saying, like the runs are just that little bit too long.
Yeah, literally, that's all it is. It's just like,
And that's the only reason why it's harder.
It's a long CrossFit workout, and like I have this conversation a lot. I think high rocks has done so much for CrossFit that they kind of got to get along very, very well because it's brought in that sort of sexiness of group exercise, of functional fitness. Like that's become a thing that people want to get involved in a little bit more. I think what puts people off with CrossFit is it takes more time. Like that's the ultimate, like learning to do a high rocks race, relatively anyone could do it. You know, Janet, who's 72, who's never stepped foot in a gym, she could go do it. She's not going to do it quickly.
A lot of them as well.
Yeah, like she's not going to do it quickly. It might take her 4 hours, but she's still going to finish it. Ask Janet to walk on her hands and do a handstand walk. She's probably going to end up in
Or do like a clean and jerk correctly.
Yeah. So like, and I think because stuff is so accessible now for people, it's so easy for us to, you know, get in shape, get a coach. That pretty straightforward thing. You know, you want food, you can order your food to your house so quickly. I think because stuff is so accessible, not a lot of many people want to learn anymore. So then when it comes around to like learning gymnastics, learning Olympic lifting, if you've never done that before, I'd never done it. I was a big stiff idiot when I started. Do you know what I mean? And then going into that, the recovery side has just been smart. And I think regardless of whether you do something as sort of intense as CrossFit as such, you know, even if you're just running 2-3 times a week, your recovery is still so important. I was having ironically on this topic, I was having a conversation with a client today and he was like, yeah, I don't think I've rested for like 2 weeks. And I was like, well, you need to. I think what a lot of people don't realize is even if you're just going to the gym and just doing like a push-pull leg split and you're doing 1 or 2 runs a week, like the amount of trauma you create to your muscles, all these small muscle fiber tears that we are creating, the biggest thing that's going to help you get stronger, to get fitter, to see a change is your recovery. And it's so massively overlooked. And you know, it's then like, oh, well, I'll train 7 days, but I'll go do an ice bath on a Sunday. All right, well, you've done that ice bath, but then you're just going to go train straight away. Like, you need to have that at least a 24-hour period where you're not running, you're not picking up any weights. It is maybe just the only thing you do is go for a walk. And I think when you get so involved into fitness and you enjoy your training so much, you don't want to take a rest day. But all that it is a recipe for an injury later down the line.
Well, that's what I was just saying with me. You know, starting to do more running, coming from like a hypertrophy and like bodybuilding background, my head just like making that transition for me was like the hardest thing. Even as a coach, you know, because I've not been heavily involved with that, you know, for years and years. So then coming back into running was just, it just really blagged my head. And that's when I started getting problems with like my knees and like my hip. And that's when I'm like, my motivation for it just started to decrease. But it's because I was making those earlier mistakes, even as a coach of, again, because I'm used to like, right, I need to, you know, do this like amount of sets for my resistance training. But then I'm trying to like incorporate the runs on top of that instead of like swapping and changing some things out to incorporate the runs, if that makes sense. So then I'm basically just adding and piling things on top, completely overtraining.
You can never, like you can never avoid an injury. And I think this is something that's really important. Like people are so scared of getting injured, but end of the day, if you're going to exercise, the chances of you getting injured are always going to be heightened. But at the same time, you walk out your front door and get hit by a bus. Like, and that's how I always view it. Like, you can do whatever you can to try prevent stuff, but I think it just ties into being patient. I want to get better at running. All right, I'm going to run 5 times a week. Just be patient. I want to get in shape. It's not going to happen in a week. It might take, you had Sean before. It was 2 years. You know what I mean? But it's having that patience, like, and I think it comes back to that thing because everything's so accessible. We don't know how to be patient. I think everybody's lost that patience. I'm relatively fresh with CrossFit. I've only been doing it sort of 2.5, 3 years. No, it'll be 3 years October. So yeah, for 3 years now. So I've not been involved in the sport necessarily as long. And I really got into that thing of I want to get good at everything straight away. It's not going to happen. You kind of just got to, and yeah, I'm a lot better than what I used to be. But then it's that, comparison's a thief of joy kind of thing. You then look at people that you want to be better than, and it's constantly chasing that. But you get into running, all right, instantly everyone wants to run a sub 20-minute 5K. It's not going to happen. It's being patient and kind of you've just got to enjoy being shit.
Yeah, trust the process.
Yeah. That instant gratification really kind of throws people off, and that's what people, at least I learned from phase 2, was progress is never linear, right? You go up, you go down, you get injured, but then it's a matter of how you can consistently do things. So, yeah.
Moving on. Anyway, we're going to go on to a bit about your ambassador role, mate, how that came about from Big Terence and basically the whole process around that, coming into that. And what has it sort of shifted your mindset in PA? Have you learned anything new about the brand since you've sort of become an ambassador for us?
I think being an ambassador opened my eyes onto how everybody kind of is interconnected, coaches were never really, coaches are not a standalone coach for Physique Academy. Like everybody kind of helps improve one another.
It's a community.
Yeah, it's a total community. And although clients actually see that, but there's a deeper level of relationship and brotherhood that is that I feel that I experience as an ambassador. This is going to be my 3rd trip with Physique Academy after Chula Vista, which is literally an hour away from me, and then Chicago, which is my other home, and then now my first trip in Europe, right? So, yeah, and I think that I get to experience that, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities that have presented. And I think that it also comes with a responsibility to improve myself so that I could further influence other people and to go back into my why and my purpose.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no need to add anything.
Good answer. You don't need to add it. It's
It's the coffee. Thank you very much.
That crash is coming, bro. That crash is coming. What's been like working together? What's been the proudest moment for you as a client, and then for you as a coach, working together? We'll start with you, Big Zayne.
I just think I wouldn't say there's a moment.
No.
I think it's the resilience throughout. Like we've worked together,
the ups and downs.
Yeah, we've worked together for a long time now, and I think there's a lot that's happened from career to school to relationships to friendships. Like there's been so much, and I think the biggest thing that I'm probably more proud of, and I think it's just come with as we've developed a relationship between ourselves and developed a friendship, is like anything that happens, Gabe's very straightforward, very open about it. This has happened. This is what's coming up, sort of thing, and that makes my job a lot easier because it's then managing that. But there's been times where you could quite easily, and anybody else could be like, I've got too much shit going on. I'm just gonna sack it off for the next couple of weeks or next couple of months, and it's always been that, right? This is what's coming up. This is what I'm going to be able to do. Like Gabe's very good at looking at, right, okay, yeah, I know I'm not going to be able to do too much, but then at the same time, he might then want to push it a little bit too much, and I'd actually be like, no, look, I know what you're like in this situation. We probably just need to look at X amount of times a week rather than what you're wanting to push a little bit too much. And yeah, I just think it's just been that resilience for everything. Like there's so many highs, there's so many lows, but there's always been that one step forward. Or worst comes to worst, we may take one step backwards, but then we've always then come back and taken two steps forwards instead. So yeah, there's been that small setback, but we're then taking a leap forward instead. yeah, I mean, it's very, very hard to pinpoint like one moment. I mean, probably the first, like one moment that always sticks to mind was your first competition that you did with Damon. Obviously, podiumed on that as well. So that's always a good one as well.
Right, because that kind of put the
set the
standard in there. Yeah. But like I feel that mine goes a little bit deeper on that one because we remove all the physical aspects, and the mental aspects. I feel that I've become more vulnerable during the time that I'm with the program. I know when to seek for help, and I know when to say that I can't do it. In fact, to be honest with you, I feel that Zayne knows more about my life and my stories and my issues versus my best friend,
Knows you better than you.
Sorry, my best friend, I'm sorry, Gigi. But yeah, but realistically, it comes down to what men are kind of wired to be, to be very hyper independent. And for me, growing up being very independent pretty much all my life, right? I had a hard time seeking for help, but understanding that I should be vulnerable and I have all of these resources and access to even just talk simple problems.
Have you spoken to Nicola or Joanne?
Joanne, yeah. And I also had my own therapist too, but Joanne also helped me on the physical aspect too. My frustrations of like, I can't reach this goal because X, Y, and Z reasons. And I've learned to just accept the fact that there's just things that I can't control, I'm a very determined guy, and that's probably why. But
Can you tell because you were saying you did like 3 different jobs. Well, no, you do 2 jobs and you also study as well.
Yeah.
And train on top.
And train on top, yeah. And I do remember, like, even now, like, I train 6 days a week too. So if people tell, this is the camera, right? If people tell themselves that they don't have time, well, I think it's just a matter of perspective. And when was the last time that you actually invested time for yourself? Think about that.
I'll clip that.
Jake's probably already making notes behind the scenes.
Do his job for him.
What's next, boys? What's next for personal milestones you're chasing? Well, you didn't actually say what your proudest moment was.
My proudest moment, I want to say no. My proudest moment was when I won gold. Yeah, because Damon has been doing this for a very long time, and Damon's my friend, right? So Damon has been doing CrossFit for a very long time. He's such a great coach, a CrossFit coach outside of Physique Academy. So I didn't want people to think that I won or I podiumed because of him. And
you have to pull your own weight. It's pairs competition, but you have to pull your weight.
It's
nice to know that you're pulling your weight in a competition.
Exactly. So winning a gold on an individual competition made me feel that, oh no, I did it. And that's with the help of Physique Academy. Wonderful.
Well, is there anything you boys wanted to go over yourselves before I wrap it up?
I know you said what's next. Obviously, we're going to get Gabe's High Rocks boxed off at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that's a big goal in terms of that. For me, I'm injured.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, literally, man. I was supposed to compete next week and the week after, so I'm a bit salty about it all.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, bro, you don't seem. You all right, bro?
Yeah.
Do you need a hug?
It's tough. But no, I tell her that. But we've got the New York Summit, 4 weeks time, doing a 10K there.
Are you going?
Yeah.
I know Matt's going as well. Matt's going.
Yeah, got a 10K event there. There's a couple of guys doing with the New York City Skyline race. So a couple of guys doing a half marathon, a couple of guys doing the 10. I think somebody might be doing the 5 as well. So whilst being injured, I've been running a lot more.
Can we get a tally, please?
Literally. So yeah, I've been running a lot more. There's 2 reasons I've been running a lot more. Number 1 is I did a competition at the start of this year and did terribly in a run. And I was like, okay, this is a bit of a wake-up call. It's my worst placing of the entire day. So I was like, right, I need to start running a bit more. So I spoke to my coach. I was like, look, I need to run. So I've been running a lot more, and then volume's obviously been up a little bit more because I can't lift as much. I can't do as much on the erg. So I'm like, okay, it's another element of fitness that doesn't blow up my back. So I'm now like, okay, cool. I've got something to actually work towards. And I think for me personally, I always got to have something in the diary. I've got to have something in the diary for me to still want to put an effort in with training, still want to put an effort in with everything. Like naturally, because of what we do for work, you always sort of feel like you've got something hovering over you to be like, look, you still got to eat well, you still got to train. But I think for me personally, that extra little bit of a gear on those days where you can quite easily just want to sack you off, having something in the diary is always good. So New York Skyline race, 10K, I'll box that off in November. And then first round of the 2026 season of AFEX in January, all been well.
If he's not injured.
Yeah, it's a 5-rep max deadlift as well. A bit first time out deadlift back leading up
The
to
tables have turned.
Yeah, literally.
All right, boys. Well, obviously, you know the drill. We've got to do a bit of a quick fire to finish, yeah?
Are you going to go one question, or are you going to go just round table question?
I'll just do like one or two each.
Yeah.
Do like one or two each. Okay, Zayne.
Yeah.
Your favorite type of CrossFit workout?
I love a gymnastics workout now, and that is purely for the fact that I like to show off, because I used to be.
Because you can.
I never used to be able to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
6'2", 90 odd kilos. Like, I could lift a barbell going in.
I've never really done CrossFit, but that is something that I'm actually quite good at, is a handstand walk.
Party trick, being able to do a handstand walk. So if it's got a bit of ergs, a bit of gymnastics in there, give me, a rower, a bar gymnastics movement, I like a muscle up or something along those lines, rower, bar gymnastics, and something else that I can just slam, something that I can just move through.
All right, Gabriel.
Yeah.
I've asked this question to Sean actually. What's your least favorite exercise or workouts? Because you might have like an AMRAP or an EMAM that Zayne makes you do.
Oh, we were just talking about this. I really hate the dumbbell box step overs, because typically it should be 20-inch box, but Zayne puts it a 24-inch box, and at 5'6",
he's an evil man.
Huh? He kind of is. So at 5'6", you just imagine that box is like almost half my height.
It's knee to chest.
Yeah. What's the ratio there with the height, man? The last two actually I've thought are for you, Gabriel. So, what's 3 words that would sum up your PA experience with Coach Zayne?
It is amazing.
And last thing, what's the most like California thing about you coming over from the pond, do you think? Because you're from LA. Yeah. So what's like the most LA thing in comparison to what us in the UK are like? What's like the most LA thing about you, do you reckon?
That threw me off.
No, completely.
Okay, so just a question. So what is the LA thing now that I'm here in the
So
UK?
I've spoken about this with Harry, like the way the reason why I think, when me and Harry spoke on the podcast, we think like a lot of Americans are attracted to like us is because we're very like clean spoken, straight to the point. We have quite a lot of banter again, like quite empathetic and understanding with the guys that we work with. But I don't know, is there a cultural difference for you guys, you think, in comparison to the likes of me and Zayne over in LA or over in the States?
I could probably look into your message and not respond for days, but know that I responded in my head.
Right. Yeah. That's actually a really good one. That's actually a really good one.
That's it for you as well. It's a dress sense as well.
It took me a moment to actually process what you'd said then, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The LA dress sense for you as well. The fashion.
No, actually, that is not LA, because California dresses down. This is from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Right, guys. Well, Zayne, Gabriel, brothers, thank you for coming down onto the podcast. Much appreciated. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yes, right. Guys, welcome. Say welcome. We're finishing off there. The next guest is going to be AJ, who is working in the brand, doing like all things blood work, hormones, which we'll do a bit of a deep dive on. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, comment any guests that you want on next, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Respect, boys. Thank you.